You can tell just from the name. I'm Italian. Right? Some people are like, he could be the mafia. No, I know. Just look at me, you can tell. I think when God was actually creating my people, he was in a bit of a rush. He's like, you know what? No necks. In fact, I'm in a bit of a hurry. Let's just make them all shorter than everyone else. If they want to feel big, they can drink their coffee out of tiny cups. I don't know. And for Benny, let's give him the build of a garden gnome, so he can never do yoga. I was actually raised in a very traditional Italian household, which means we lived in the basement and we ziplocked our sofa. On the main floor, well, that was more like a series of showrooms. So, we weren't actually allowed to touch any of that furniture. My dad went up there sometimes if someone rang the doorbell. It was one of those political parties, you know what I mean? He's like, yeah, just hammer in the sign there in the front lawn. As soon as they would leave, he'd rip off the steaks and use it for the tomatoes. I like your laugh, sir. Good crowd tonight. I was listening to you guys back there. Fantastic crowd. Listen, we were the only Italian family in the neighborhood. And I could tell even as a kid, we were different. All right? For example, everyone I remember in kindergarten, they were talking about Santa Claus. In Italian culture, there's no Santa. We have La Befana. Yeah, she's a witch, all right? And she rides around on a broomstick, and she breaks into children's houses, and she puts candy in their shoes if they've been good. If they've been bad, they get garlic. Sometimes onions. But you know what? I was a smart kid. You know what I did? The night before, I set aside a few tomatoes, some basil. At worst, the next day, I make a nice bruschetta. You know what I mean? But we were always different. I remember we would only get gifts of cash. Only envelopes of cash. Those were our gifts. So I could never really connect with the other kids in kindergarten. They'd be like, yeah, I got a Cabbage Patch doll. I got the video game. Benny, what'd you get? I bought $1,200. And a whole lot of garlic. Now my son, God bless him, we actually got brought in, my wife and I, to a parent-teacher interview. Teacher told us, congratulations on being such progressive parents, teaching your child sign language at such a young age. And I was like, what? Now my son, God bless him, I'm trying to make him proud to be Italian. I really am. And now he's into gaming. So I walked by him the other day. I'm like, hey, Francesco, you know the most popular video game of all time is of an Italian, Mario. Hey, yeah. But hold on, I started thinking about this. How messed up is this? This idea. Can you imagine what was going on back in 1984 Japan that this is the idea they came up with? Miyamoto. I have it. He'll be an Italian plumber, and he will rid the sewers of monsters. He'd also show how they get superpowers. Well, these shrooms are helping us. I pushed him too far, though. I pushed my son too far, because now he's too Italian. He's like a little Italian man. I'll find him sometimes just in front of the house, just hosing down the sidewalk. I'm also married, or asexual, whatever. I love my wife more than anyone else on the planet. But there are a couple things we differ on. Like, for example, our tactics in parenting. Now, look, between the two of us, I'm the one, I'll admit it, I lost one of the kids at Target. But I came home last week, and honestly, I open the door, I hear the dog barking, all hell is breaking loose. I walk into the living room, and I see my 5-year-old daughter. She's got a purple marker, and she's actually coloring the lampshade. My wife is standing in the middle of the living room. No, thank you. No, thank you. I don't say that, of course. I would never say anything to my wife about that. Of course, I wouldn't. But you know what? Then after she moves on to tactic number 2. She tries to get their attention through clapping. Have you seen that? Like, Hillary! 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 My wife, my daughter, she turns around, so help me God. She starts smiling. Because in her head, mommy's giving her standing ovations. And then I know my wife is serious when she starts counting. 1, 2. I walked into the kitchen, no word of a lie. 354. 150. I'm like, honey, there's nobody here. Hon! Thanks, everybody.